Hello and good evening for my it's going to be it's been a good day today. It's been a really good day.
Good.
Um and hello Frank, how are you?
I'm excellent. If I was any better, my head would explode.
You're funny, you're funny. Um
Thanks.
we finished off last time talking about like your films, what the films you were doing then, but today I want to talk about kind of like about you do like you take photos, you photograph, you're a photographer and all
Yeah.
sorts. Um, what started you doing that?
Doing photography, or I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
I could. Uh, I don't know. I just I picked up a camera back in the '70s, and it was actually a piece of junk. It was it was a used camera that I bought, and there was no autofocus like we have today. And of course, back in the day, you had to use film, actual 35 mil film stock. Very, very expensive, to do it. But I don't know. I was fascinated with it, and I've always loved photographing people is my thing.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and with no disrespect whatsoever to photographers, because I've done it too. I photographed flowers and trees and mountains. Uh, I don't find that much of a challenge. I mean, there's the mountain, you shoot it. I mean, the
yeah,
mountain does
yeah,
not.
yeah,
There's no expression there. You try. You get the settings correct, and there you go. Same thing with sunsets. Once you know what kind of settings you use for a sunset, you shoot the sunset, and everybody goes, "Ooh, wonderful photographer." I frankly, I disagree. Once you know the technical aspects, then virtually anybody can shoot a sunset and make it look amazing. But when you're shooting moving objects, um, I have a Facebook friend who photographs wildlife. That's exciting. I haven't done that, but it's very, very exciting. And I all respect to him because he's very good at it. I prefer to photograph people, and I had the opportunity a number of years back to photograph dance competitions. So I got hired to do that, and that was what an amazing experience that was. Because it's a the ultimate challenge because you're not allowed to use flash. For obvious reasons, you're going to distract the competitors because these were competitive, dance
yeah, yeah,
competitions,
yeah.
and so no flash. But the problem is that we're dealing with low light conditions, and anybody who knows photography, I think, will really appreciate what I'm saying here. So you can't use flash. The lighting changes all the time, so there's no constant lighting because depending on the dancer and what music they're playing, what mood they want to create, it's all different. So you're constantly making adjustments on the go. I put it on manual, and I said, well, let's hope for the best. Now, because there's motion, a lot of motion, um, normally you can put on really fast shutter speed, but if you do that, then you don't get enough light coming in, so the thing comes out like black, really
Yeah,
dark.
yeah,
So see, those are the kind of challenges I love. Ultimately, I got the hang of it. The first day I did it was an absolute disaster. Because I had never done that before, and I was like, I don't drink beer, but I was crying in my beer. No, no pun intended. I was like, and I thought, oh my God, this is a disaster. I'm going to get fired. But I got just enough photos, good photos, that they kept me they kept me for another day. I got the hang of it, and let's not forget another thing. These dancers are to me, they're the best athletes in the world. I mean, they're jumping, they're doing somersaults, they're leaping in the air, doing the splits in midair. Wow, you know. I used to be an athlete. I used to play soccer, as you call it there, football, and I was also in athletics. I used to run the 400 meters, 800 meters, and that's tough. But when I see these dancers, I go, wow. that's absolutely phenomenal because they combine they have to have stamina, speed, and they have to be able to jump. They combine all the best elements of any athlete. And so I fell in love with it, and I took many thousands of photos, and that's my sort of crowning achievement as a photographer, was to get really good at doing that under those conditions. Now, if I'm photographing dancers in a studio, not in competition, but a studio, I can have studio lights. Well, that's a whole different ballgame. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's pretty darn easy compared to what I had to deal with. Yeah. So I love the challenge. It's always to me, life is about challenges. If you do the same thing all the time, you just don't grow. Now, of course, I'm very, very lucky because my fiance, Angela Johnson, is also not only a great musician, but she's also a great model. So I've done many thousands of photos with Angela, and she uses them for her promotions, and so I'm feeling a little bit spoiled right now, because I have a model in my home. So whenever we used to, because we're both night hawks, right? We love to stay up late at night because we don't have a regular job. You have to be there at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning. So sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning, and of course we can't do it now because of COVID, but I'd say let's go do a photo shoot. We look at the time, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning. We say perfect time because there's nobody around to bother us, right? So, we just drive around the city of Toronto, and, I'd spot some nice location, go, okay, jump out of the car, flash. Obviously I use flash. And, there's nobody around. So, you can photograph her in the middle of the road, or you can photograph her just about anywhere. Nobody bothers you. And so night shoots. So we started doing night shoots, and that was that was a lot of fun and very exciting. And you get some really interesting results with that too. But I don't like to do anything that's easy. maybe I'm a masochist. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Have you done anybody famous?
Well, you mean besides Angela?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. No, not yet. I just like to photograph people in general. If I could photograph somebody famous, I will. I have a friend, an associate, who sort of went out of his way to do that whenever he knew that there was somebody famous in town. I mean, Toronto's it's a world-class film city. A lot of great movies are made here, and they're made everywhere in the world. But Toronto's the number one film center in Canada. We have major studios here, and so we always have like really famous actors showing up. So he used to sort of like hunt them down and, say, I'm going to give you like free headshots, and he was a really friendly guy. And he did Al Pacino, and I forget what, he did a whole bunch of famous people. And that's how he promoted his business. He said, of course, he didn't tell anybody that they didn't pay for it, right? He just did it for free. But it worked. It worked, and people say, "Oh my God, he did headshots for this guy and that guy and all these famous people." The next thing you know, people were lined up to get their shots done. So I don't know. Maybe I should do the same thing. I don't know, but I'm not the type of person that chases down famous people. I just like to leave them alone. I know who they are. Here in Toronto, every year we have the Toronto International Film Festival, which is the second largest film festival in the world, next to Cannes. And we always got a lot of really famous people, but I don't go looking for them. I see them. Sometimes you see them on the street, whatever, and these people want to be left alone most of the time, and sometimes all it takes is one little look, and they understand. I look their way, they look towards me, and I nod, and that's it. And they acknowledge. It's just a nod back without bothering them. So. But I'm a little bit sensitive to that kind of thing because being in the business myself, you don't want to be bothering people all the time. But anyway, I digress. We were talking about photography, and so that's my. It's more than a hobby. I do it professionally. People hire me and pay me to do photos, and But of course, my number one love is directing movies. Which I can honestly say now, because we're that advanced, that I will be directing not one but 2 feature films later on this year.
Okay.
I'm very happy about that.
And what are they about then?
One is a boxing movie. It's called Streets of Six. It's about 2 down and out boxers who are trying to redeem themselves. It's a beautiful script, beautiful screenplay. And when I was approached to direct it, at first I thought, oh God, another boxing movie, Rocky 43 or something, you know. And the guy said, yeah, just read the script. Let me know what you think. So I read the script and I was really impressed. I thought, okay, this is not just a boxing movie. It's, you know, it's very character driven, which is fine because that's my forte as a director. I like working with actors. And there's boxing involved, but the movie is not about boxing. You know, it's about the boxers, if you know what I mean. It's about the boxers and what they have to go through. And I found it very fascinating. And of course, there will be some serious boxing in there. And one of the actors is a 2-time Canadian Golden Glove champion. So, you know, he's in his 40s now, and you know, and so it's perfect for the role because he's been there, he's been out, and he's trying to get back in again. But he's a real boxer, okay? So that I thought, oh my God, that's amazing to get a real boxer. So you don't have to get an actor who has to learn how to box. You get a real boxer. The other actor has done a bit of boxing, you know, just not a lot, but I'm working with him in the acting department, and we have and the other actor who's a boxer is teaching him how to box properly, and we still have enough time, you know, we're shooting that film in early December, so there's plenty of time for him to you know, learn the ropes. The other movie, which I'll be shooting in October, is it's actually another character-driven film, and it's called Red Pine City, which is the location where this story takes place, and it's about a 30-ish, mid-30s singer, attractive girl, but she's spinning her wheels like so many artists around the world. You know, they have talent, they're doing their darn best to make it in the industry, but sometimes life can be cruel, and she's one of those people. And her agent sends her to some small community in northern Canada for a month and said, look, I know you want to quit, but just go up there and have fun, make some money. And if you want to quit afterwards, go ahead, but at least give it one more shot. So she goes up, and they love her up there. But the bar that she's working at, she's singing at, the owner is not of the highest moral character. Right. And she's not very pleased with this guy, and she goes out of her way to bring him down to, you know, and it's a love story too, because one of the mobster's henchmen falls in love with her, and then the two of them sort of get together and they try to bring this guy down. Anyway, it's a lovely story, and totally different than the other movie, which is nice, and again challenging because character driven. There's no special effects, there's no tricks, there's no car chases, and it's all about the acting, which is what I love in a movie. Yeah, I go to movies to watch great acting, you know. So yeah. Well, there you go.
Can you act? How good are you at acting?
Can I act? Well, I'm an acting coach. I've been teaching for 23 years. But before I got into film, I did 21 lead roles in theater, and I directed an equal amount of plays. So theater, music was my first love, but nobody wanted an accordion player. I learned to play, you know, being of Italian background, I learned how to play the accordion. I loved it, but nobody wanted an accordion player in their bands. And when I went to high school, nobody wanted they had no interest whatsoever in accordion player in the school orchestras. So I unfortunately I quit, and I picked up a guitar, played around, but that wasn't my thing. But I love music. Music was my number one love, and then I switched over to theater. I'm happy to say that I was a much better actor than I was a singer, by far. and then it evolved into movies. So I went from music to theater to movies. So I pretty much done it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best film you think that you've ever directed?
That's a tough one. It's like, who's your favorite child, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let me say this. When I got into film directing, I made myself a promise that I would make one film of every genre, if I could, before I died. Now, I got into the film business very late in life. I was in my mid-40s when I started, which is pretty late, because I didn't have access to any film, because I grew up in a small town in northern Canada, and nobody made movies there. Okay, so it was like, I had no access. But when I finally got around to it, I was in my 40s, and I've made 7 feature films to date. With these 2, I'll bring it up to 9. And my goal was always to do at least 10 before I leave this earth. So I'm getting close. But each movie, because I could choose whatever. Obviously, I'm an independent filmmaker, so I could choose whatever I want.
Yeah.
I said I will make one movie of every genre. So my first one was romantic drama. My second one was a romance. My third one was a police drama. It was about an undercover cop who's so deep undercover that everybody forgets he even exists. It's a movie called Bitter Circle. Wonderful movie. I'm trying to re-release it. It's fairly old now, but I'm trying to re-release it, and I'm getting close to it. And then I did a movie about a drug dealing Vietnamese woman called Tough Love. She comes to North America to become an actress or model, and no luck. Her accent is heavy. Nobody wants her, and she becomes a drug dealer. And this is a story of redemption too. So every movie I make is different, which is what I love. So, and then I did another one called Risk Factor, which is an action adventure film. That was a lot of fun to do. And then I did an art film called Final Dance. Now, interesting story how that came about. My late wife and I went to see a play because one of my acting students was in it. And it was not called Final Dance. It had another name, and it was based on a Russian stage play that somebody I knew wrote. And the play itself was not very well done, and it's not the writing. You know how you can see something, you say, okay, well, it wasn't well done, but it's not the writing. It's obviously the direction or the producing or the acting wasn't good. Mm-hmm. So when we left the theater, I said to my wife, I said, well, what did you think? She goes, it wasn't all that good. I said, yeah, well, I'm going to make a movie out of it. And she laughed because she thought I was joking. And I did. I got the rights, and I turned it into a movie because I saw something there that obviously other people didn't see. And that's another thing I like, is doing things that nobody else would try. And it worked. And it's on Amazon Prime USA right now as we speak. It's called Final Dance. It's a real art film. If you love theater, you will love this film. If you love theater, there's no action, or nobody gets stabbed. There's no weapons. It's pure character-driven drama, and just like there's a beer, a brand of beer called Alexander Keith. I don't know if you have it over there in the UK. No. But I love their ad. Okay, here's their ad. It's really simple. Okay, it goes like this: those who like it a lot. It always makes me laugh. That, and it's true, right? Those who like it a lot. All you need is enough people to like it, and guess what? You can sell a lot of it around the world, right? You don't have to sell to 100% of the population. You can, if you sell it to 5% of the population and they're loyal, you become very, very rich. Yeah. Anyway, So there you have it. That's my rundown on my movies.
Yeah, because in Circle, sorry, in the Better Circle,
Yeah.
um, you were kind of not just kind of like a screenwriter, but you was an actual actor in it too, weren't you?
Well, the movie that I did real acting in was, I didn't even mention it, was Club Utopia, which is a comedy.
Yeah.
And I wrote that script over 20 years ago, and I don't know, it was just fun to write, and I kind of just forgot about it. It was in my basement until somebody said, whatever happened to that script you wrote? I read it and I loved it. It was funny, and so it kind of thought, oh yeah, I should dig it up, take the dust off of it, and I finally got around to making it. That one, I'm one of the lead actors in it, but that's the only one I really acted in. The other ones I have very, very small roles, cameo, just little cameo appearances, because my first love in movies is directing, and that's number one. Writing is number two. And then I produce, because it's important to be a producer too. And then fourth is acting. I mean, I love acting, but my preference, here's the way I look at it. An actor is a spoke in the wheel. The director is the wheel.
What was it like to work with Chad Bruce?
Chad Bruce, oh my goodness, I haven't seen him in a long time, although he's a very fine actor, and he's been in some pretty good movies over the last little while. Yeah. Great guy, terrific. When I worked with him, he was obviously much younger, but he was really nice to work with. Very, very nice. And the two leads were interesting. John Wildman he won the Best Actor category in, I think it was 1985, for My American Cousin. So it was like the Canadian Academy Awards.
Yeah.
So he won Best Actor for that movie, and I cast him in mine. He had not quite the lead, but secondary lead, and the other one who had the lead was the undercover cop, was interesting name, Dominic Guzzocrea. Dominic Guzzocrea, funny guy. He's a very fine actor. Anyway, one day I said to him, Guzzocrea, said, why don't you change your name? Why would I change my name? I said, I don't know. I just thought, shorten it or make up a different name. He goes, no. He says, why don't you tell that to Schwarzenegger? I said, okay, good point. Good point. Okay. Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right. And Dominic Guzzocrea. Anyway, he had zero interest in changing his name. But anyway, I'd love to re-release that movie, because it's when I released it before, there was no streaming services. And if you didn't get a theatrical release, then very few people got to see it. Yeah. And there was one. It was on, I think, was Super Channel for a little bit while, but very limited release, and it's a shame, because I think it's a very fine movie, and also the music in it. I had a composer named Vazy Tayeb who did the scores for 5 of my movie projects, and very fine. Anyway, very fine score. To me, it was a world-class score, and it's an underappreciated movie. So I'm thinking that it might be released later on this year in a streaming service it's called Hollywood Suites. Hollywood Suite. I'm sorry. It's a streaming service, and they specialize in older movies. So if they accept it, and it's looking pretty good, then it would be available in North America, throughout all North America, and you never know, it may be in other places too. But yeah. But I just found out today that one of my movies, Final Dance, my art film, has been accepted by, I think it's called Angela said Hulu. Hoopla or something like that. Anyway, it's available in North America and Australia and New Zealand. And basically, if you go to your public library, you can get it for free. You just ask for it, and it's available. and now in North America and New Zealand and Australia. As of today, it's available. So, and a library card, and you get to watch my movie for free. Yes.
I'll go into the library and get it.
I'm sorry?
I will go into the library and get it.
Well, you're in the UK. It's not available.
Oh, what a shame.
It's available in North America and Australia and New Zealand. Yeah.
Oh,
But I'll find a way. I'll find a way of getting getting you to see it.
yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
Being a director, you kind of like it's got a responsibility for all of the actors, for everything, and for the film, how the film goes.
mm-hmm.
Have you ever made a big mistake while directing a film?
Well, I think every director can look back and say, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I'd done that. At the time, I'll say first of all that I don't believe I've made any major mistakes. Minor mistakes, of course, but nothing major. I'd like to think I'm pretty good at what I do. Regrets? Well, regret, that's a whole other thing. It's not necessarily a mistake. It's you might, after the fact, you could be months, years after the fact, you could say, gee, if I could have got another location, a better location for that, for example, or if that actor that I was searching out was available for the film and he wasn't. I wonder what a kind of a difference this make. But you can't dwell on that stuff. It'll make you crazy. I know some directors who just refuse to even watch their movies after they're released. And there's some actors, same thing. They just won't watch them. They just want to move on to the next one. Because you can drive yourself crazy with regret. And that applies to just about anything in life. You can say, I wish. It doesn't get you anywhere. And so, you learn and you move on. But I don't believe I've made any major mistakes. You have to work. Here's the way I look at it. You have to work with what you have at the time. That's all you can do. And then you maximize it. Whatever you have, you maximize it. If it's a very small budget, you maximize it. You find ways of making it look bigger than it really is. You try to get the best you can out of your actors, even though they're not famous actors. It doesn't matter. Famous actors are not necessarily the best actors. Okay, no. They're not necessarily the best.
No,
okay?
I know that.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes you could be a movie star and a lousy actor. Okay, movie stars are basically people who can sell a movie. If you ask my definition, real actors, that's a whole different ball game. For me, the best actors are on stage because it's unforgiving. You go on stage, there's no take 2, take 3, take 4. There is none. You're up there and you mess up. You're finished because. You have to be right on the money all the time. That's and I know because I did stage for years. So that's where the real acting takes place. Film, if you mess up, you do it again, right?
Yeah.
And you do it again, and I don't know. Right, until you get it right, and then people after say, "Oh, what an amazing actor!" And I'm going, "Yeah, it took him 36 takes to get that." Good one, you know what I mean? On stage, there is no such thing. You do it right the first time. There's no second time.
What's your biggest achievement in your life?
Film wise or career wise?
Yeah, career. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in terms of family, it's having a family and raising a family and having 3 beautiful children and 8. I have 8 grandchildren. I had a very long, successful marriage until she passed away, and now I'm with Angela. I was for 6 years. We've been together for 6 years. So that portion of my life, I have 0 complaints. I've been blessed. So ups and downs like anybody else, but I've been blessed. Career-wise, I think. In terms of a real thrill if you look at from that perspective, making my first feature film, where I had no idea what I was doing. I did not go to film school. I had zero training in everything I did. Zero training. I learned basically, I learned by doing it. This is how I learn things. I watch, I observe. That's how I learn. I'm not a textbook sort of guy. So when I made my first movie, I just decided one morning, I woke up and I said, I've been doing theater for years and I want to make a movie. So I called a friend of mine. I wasn't living in Toronto at the time. I called a friend of mine who was an actor and I said, Paul, you told me you were involved in some movie. He says, yeah. When are they shooting? He says, in about 3-4 months. I said, can you give me the name of the director or the producer? And he says, oh, it's already cast. I said, no, I don't want to act in it. I just want to be there. I want to, I just want to observe or be a part of it. He said, okay. So I called the guy up. He's a director, producer. First thing he said to me, we don't have any money. That's the first thing he said to me. We don't have any money. I said, okay, so you can't pay me. I said, that's okay. He said, what do you mean it's okay? It's okay. You don't have to pay me. I just be there and I'll do whatever you need me to do. You want me to sweep a floor? I'll sweep the floor. I don't care. I'll do whatever. Get coffee. I don't care. I just want to be there because I had never seen a film being made, And like I said, nobody made movies up where I was. So I showed up, spent 6 weeks working on this film. It cost me a lot of money. Never mind not getting paid because I had to pay for room and accommodations, and I had to find my own way and eat my own meals, and so they didn't even have money to feed the crew. Okay, it was I think they took out canned beans. It was quite the experience. Okay, but you know what? At the end of it all, it was worth it because in 6 weeks I learned more than I would probably learn in 4 years in university. Yeah. Because I wound up doing everything because there was a flu epidemic when I was there. So everybody was collapsing almost on set. The first assistant director got sick and he was gone. The second assistant director got sick a few days later. Everybody was getting sick. I felt like I was the only one still standing. So I wound up doing all these different jobs and learning on the go. I had no choice. I said, okay, I'll do this. By the end of the movie, I went from, and honest to goodness, the very first day I was there, I actually swept a floor of a studio space. The lady who owned it said, if you clean up my studio, and it was quite large. It was just basically a giant empty space. If you clean it, I'll give it to you for free. So nobody wanted to clean it. You get all these kids who go, oh, I just graduated from university. I'm not sweeping any floor. And I said, give me the damn broom, and I swept. I did it all by myself. I went there and I swept the whole thing through. That was my first day. And then by the end of the movie, I was the associate producer. So I went from sweeping the floor to associate producer. How do you spell ambitious? And I was, and then a year and a half later, I made my own movie. It was the first movie, which wound up selling to 24 countries, and it aired on out of New York. It aired on A&E, Arts and Entertainment. So that was my biggest thrill. When you're sitting in your house watching the TV set, and up comes my movie on A&E out in New York, and I had never made a movie before. So that's my biggest thrill. I have to say, yeah, it was my first movie, and it's like the first time in anything in life. You can never really duplicate the first time of anything. The second, third, fourth, fifth might be great, but it's never the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank, thank you very much for the interview, as always.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's really good. Brilliant. I love it.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. And
okay, well, thank you, and stay well. Okay.
Yeah, and you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.